I've been waiting to do this video for a long time. So long that we not even gonna do an intro. Let's go ahead and get to it. It's 14:30. Let's get right to the show. So, I just got one question. What's wrong with y'all? Like, I'm really trying to understand, what's been going on for like over 2 years now. Before we get into it, I'm moving too fast. Make sure you like the video, make a comment, whether you agree or disagree with what I'm about to say. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you're always the first to know when I drop a new video. Because I'm not doing a schedule, so it could just happen whenever. Like the video you're getting now. I'll announce in a little bit of time, a little bit ahead of time on Instagram. Make sure you follow me on the Instagram page as well. Link is in the description. I'll give you a heads up there, but for the most part, you just gotta catch me when you catch me. And the best way to catch me is subscribing to the channel. I gotten stuff situated with YouTube. That's also part of the reason why it took me a little bit longer to get this video out. Because of everything with YouTube. But we got that straight. I'm trying not to cuss in my intros, and I'm trying not to, piss off the algorithm. But, so anybody that has been supporting me, regardless of all the BS, I appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, and, just a quick plug. This is some merch from God Made a Monster, like I did in the last video. I will leave the link in the description if you want to cop one of these God Made a Monster shirts or any of the shirts on the store. Okay, all right. Enough shilling, enough shameless plugs. Let's get into the episode. So, why am I saying what's wrong with y'all? Why am I asking what's wrong with y'all? And it's because of this Megan Thee Stallion situation. We're just gonna go right into it. Leave Megan alone. I'm kind of sick of the conversation now. I really try to sit back in certain situations where I'm not as invested, right? I mean, I'm invested because, as a black woman being victimized, black people involved. I'm invested in that regard. But, as a fan, I'm not that big of a fan of either people involved. So that's why making this video for a long time, or even commenting on the situation for a long time, didn't really make sense to me, because I wasn't, that emotionally invested. But then when you sit back and think about it, I don't really think a lot of y'all are as emotionally invested. At least the ones I'm talking to. You're not as emotionally invested, and we're gonna get into that in a minute. But I try to sit back. I try to, try to see things from other people's perspective. So, I'm not coming in, just completely shutting out the people I don't agree with, right? But this time I can't find like an angle where it makes sense. So the inspiration behind this video, and the reason why I'm doing it now, is because of Drake's new album with 21 Savage, Her Loss. Before I even heard the album, and I actually enjoyed it. Like, full disclaimer, I enjoyed the album. It's not perfect. It's not something that I'm probably gonna play in like a few months from now. But there's a couple joints on there that really, like, I really enjoy. It's probably Drake's most enjoyable project since 2015. If you're reading this, it's too late. I'd probably throw in like What a Time to Be Alive, because I like that one too. That's all the same year though. That's probably the best Drake album I've heard since then. So, I was excited when I started seeing like the positive feedback for a Drake release for once in a while. But before I'd even heard the album, I had already heard the controversy behind that Circo Loco song. And I was trying to like keep an open mind about it. Like, I thought maybe it was some clever wordplay. Like, a lot of people were defending it and saying it. But when I heard it in the context of the song, plus the other bars, like, I'll throw a screenshot. I'll throw a screenshot up here of the of the lyrics. Because I'm not good at quoting that kind of shit. I got my own lyrics in my head to be remembering. I can't quote all these other rappers verbatim. But when I heard the song and I'm hearing all the other lyrics around it, I was like, why? I just don't get it. I just don't get why he felt like he needed to do that. Because at the end of the day, like, first of all, Drake beefing with a woman, gotta say it's pretty on brand. If it really is beef, right? Because I'm trying to wrap my head around why this lyric exists. And I was gonna make this video all about Drake and all this other stuff, but then I realized I'm not that invested when it comes to Drake. I'm more invested in the fact that he did a line about Megan Thee Stallion, and kind of why would you do that right now, right? So, to catch y'all up, the line is in reference to a 2020 shooting of Megan Thee Stallion that also involves Tory Lanez, that also involves her former best friend Kelsey and the bodyguard, all in the car. It was like August 2020, so it was a summer night, and there's a lot of mystery about what happened that night. A lot of the people in the car not really giving up too much because it's a legal matter. It's in court right now, and for the people who think, because I'm gonna probably end up referencing this nigga in this video, it has to. The people who think that this process is taking too long, just remember that R. Kelly's tape came out in like 2002, 2003, and he didn't go to court until like 2007 and didn't get acquitted until like 2008. So we didn't get a verdict until a year after this thing started, which started like 4 or 5 years after, the charges were brought up. Matter of fact, the charges might have even been brought up before that. Just the videotape is what got everybody's attention. But anyway, getting back on track, just for the people, just kind of putting that in context for the people who think that this case, as serious as it is taking too long. But it's a lot of mystery around what happened that night, because nobody's talking outside of Megan Thee Stallion doing a Instagram live video like a month after the fact, basically saying, yo, Tory Lanez shot me. And Tory Lanez putting out an album or mixtape or whatever, pleading his innocence, while also taking shots at her and all these other people who, publicly condemned him and stuff like that. First, before we go any further, I'm not one of those guys that's going to get here on here and act like I know exactly what happened that night. Like I said, it's a lot of mystery. It's a lot of things that are not really making sense. So I'm just kind of standing back, because there's a good opportunity that no matter what side you fall on, there's a good opportunity you might be on the wrong side when all of the evidence finally come out and we finally get the full story. So I'm not as committed to picking a side like a lot of people are. Like I probably would have been in the past, but like a lot of people are, I'm not really picking sides. Even though between the two, I think Megan has a lot more going for her. She has the pictures, there's a police report, there are some witnesses that were around the car when all this stuff happened. So, from all the different accounts, there's a lot of varying stories, but from all the different accounts, a lot of them point in Meg's favor. Now, whether Tory shot her, whether her friend shot her, the security guard shot her, like that's the only other options it could have been. But it's really not whether or not he's guilty, because I'm gonna let that play out with the professionals. The system is rigged. We talked about that in the last video. Check that out if you haven't. I understand the system is rigged, but I'm gonna let it play out, because at this point, I don't have any other answers on how we're going to get to the bottom of this. But since that whole situation has happened, Megan Thee Stallion has probably been the most harassed person on social media. Probably. She's the one I hear about the most. And I hear about her from not doing anything outside of defending herself. Like, I will say, I wish she'd stop. I wish she'd stop trying to defend herself to every little comment. Like, I get it. It's, you know, she's already dealing with the trauma of being shot. And, you know, some other personal life stuff that's happened, like a mom passing, you know, us coming out of quarantine, you know, dealing with the pandemic that has all but disappeared in 2022. It's a very real thing when this shooting happened and the year after that. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And I, you know, hey, it's some trauma going on with Tory Lanez too. If he really didn't do it, you know, he allegedly shot her. You know, you got to say allegedly because of legal, right? But, you know, but it's also true. Like, I don't know. I don't know for sure. I wasn't there. I've never even been to California. So I know I wasn't there when this shooting happened. But none of y'all were either. And I think it's just the response that, like, this Drake line has gotten. And just in general, since this whole incident started, it's just been people attacking this woman for nothing. She posts some kind of sponsor deal picture. There's a lot of people just bombarding her with comments about Tory Lanez, or bombarding her with comments about, like, lying about the shooting, even though she has evidence that it's happened. And, you know, like, I remember I was on back when I was still on Twitter. I remember somebody putting together like a thread of screenshots of this one account harassing this woman every day since, I think the person behind the account didn't start harassing her until after Tory Lanez put out that mixtape. Like, basically getting at her, calling her a liar, claiming his innocence, things like that. Oh, and, you know, sorry if I sound a little weird. You got stuffy nose. The weather going back and forth between hot and cold in North Carolina really doesn't do, you know, my sinuses any favors. But, you know, just letting you know if the voice sounding real nasally right now. It's that time of the year, man. It's kicking my ass. But yeah, like, it's like, since he put out that mixtape, there was a thread of somebody getting on Twitter and Instagram, or was it just Twitter? Yeah. Anyway, it was Twitter every day for like a year, attacking this woman, calling her a bitch, wishing she really did get shot instead of lying about it. It was crazy, insanity. So yeah, I could say I wish he didn't respond to all of the BS, but, like, that's a lot of BS to be ignored. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. And I honestly, even with my dealings with Twitter and my dealing with, like, online harassment, I can't imagine with that level of like visceral response to somebody, and visceral response to somebody for not something that they did, but something that was done to them. Like, not somebody who is the criminal in this situation, but the victim. And, you know, I'll get this out of the way. Jay Prince even had to say it. Like, calling Megan a snitch because, you know, she fingered the person who, you know, allegedly shot her. That's not snitching. So let's kill that already. That's one of the dumbest things. And I didn't even want to really address it in this video, but because I'm talking about this, let me just go ahead and get that out the way now. That's not snitching. First of all, I don't understand how you little suburban kids that are only hard on online, you know, on social media and things like that. I don't understand how you could be the authority on snitching. And, you know, it's like, you know, hey, if you used to be in the hood, but now you work at a desk job, I need you to shut up too. Because you left that lifestyle behind. Leave it behind. Leave all the BS that comes with it behind. We're just going to go ahead and let that. We're just going to tuck that away. I never want to hear that again. But yeah, like the thing that really trips me out about this stuff, because I can ramble about this all the time. It's been 2 years, so I got a lot of I've been sitting back observing. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that I've noticed that I didn't like. But so there's a lot of things I could ramble on about when it comes to the situation. But the thing that really trips me out about this situation, and artist to artist, no disrespect. It might come off a little disrespectful, but no disrespect. Y'all really doing this over Tory Lanez. Y'all really going this hard. We not canceling him. We're not throwing this man away, regardless of if he did. There's a lot of people that even say, I'm not getting rid of Tory Lanez, even if he did it. They don't care. Because they either don't like Megan Thee Stallion, which I think it has a lot more to do with it, or because they are just so, like, they're such big Tory Lanez fans. Now, I did a video like 5 years ago, at the beginning of 2017. It was about separating the art from the artist. It was like a roundtable discussion. And, it was after the whole R. Kelly, Surviving R. Kelly documentary came out, right? And I remember at the time I said I couldn't listen to, these quote unquote canceled artists, depending on, what they did. I was softening my stance on that. At least not for myself, but for other people. Because as many people as you see online that are going so hard for somebody, like, I don't care. I'm still playing R. Kelly. I'm still watching The Cosby Show. I'm still playing Michael Jackson. I'm still gonna support these dudes no matter what. They could be as guilty as all hell. I'm still rocking with it. I'm not getting rid of that music. You know what? Is as many people that get online and they boast so hard about that kind of stuff. I promise you, there are like 10 times more people that are gonna listen to it and just don't have to make this grand, like, speech about it, And so, hey, I could say it's more of a personal choice. Like, I could watch The Cosby Show because Heathcliff is not Bill Cosby. R. Kelly singing Seems Like You're Ready. Them other like really weird and creepy ass songs. It's really hard for me to get into it, just because it puts me in the mindset of what he did and what happened. And now that you really listen, I don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. Just all of that stuff just kind of comes off really weird. It don't come off as sexy. It doesn't come off as like a dope vibe. It just comes off fucking weird, okay? So if it's not weird to you, fine. Like, I'm not going to be so offended to where I'm going to pay $30, $40 to get into a club and then walk right out because they're playing R. Kelly. I'm not that. It's not that deep. It's not that deep, bro. I'm just gonna get drunk and it's all gonna sound like noise anyway. So I don't even care. But, so if you playing it, fine. Fuck it. I don't care. I still listen to Thriller. Because Michael Jackson went through the whole system, got brought to front of the courts and was acquitted. A lot of people have recanted stories and changed up their stories and stuff like that. People even said that, hey, my parents forced me to testify against Michael Jackson. There's been some of that, But also just the fact that he's dead. I think it kind of negates the whole, like, I'm not supporting this artist if they're dead. Like, I don't know. It's just his kids didn't do the crime, so I wouldn't really want to punish them for getting these little bit of streaming coins. That 1 cent for every million stream that I do of Thriller. Like, hey, they can have that. Because the man who did the crime is in the ground. God already dealt with him. If he's innocent. I mean, if he's guilty, right? But I get it because the music was such a vital part of a lot of people's childhood growing up. Every household was playing Thriller. Every household was playing R. Kelly to a certain extent. There were, I mean, so I get it. I get the, like, the pain of letting it go because of what the music means to you. I don't fucking see that with Tory Lanez. Like, am I the only one who's kind of like, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say the dude's not talented, but to go this hard and go like, yo, I'm not getting rid of such and such. Like, I don't know a single track from him to where I'm like, I can't live without this. Most of the songs that I like from him are because he samples other people's stuff that just reminds me of his past, of those people's work. I don't really care about Tory Lanez. I care about when he samples SWV, when he samples Brownstone, when he samples Jagged Edge, Chris Brown, Trey Songz. Like, I'm listening to those songs. I'm listening to his songs for those songs, really. So I'm like, I don't understand why, like, you're ready to die on that hill for Tory Lanez. Like, I really don't get it. So that's why I feel like the real answer is that you don't like Megan Thee Stallion. And why don't you like Megan Thee Stallion? I mean, I could hit you with the generic, you just don't like black women. You don't like a black woman like Megan Thee Stallion who is twerking, but is also a college graduate and just talking her shit to men. Like, men have been talking their shit to women on hip hop records for years. For some reason, it bothers you. It bothers you. I could say that, but I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. I could say that it's because you don't really care about what happens to black women in general. So her getting shot doesn't even feel like that big of a deal. It feels like something that could be rapped about, that could be made fun of. And there's a lot of people that when the Drake line happened, like, a lot of people said, well, people in hip hop rap about certain shit all the time. So I posed this scenario for you, right? It's been a few years. If somebody did a rap, like a line, right? They did a line in a verse and they said some kind of metaphor about Nipsey Hussle getting shot. And you're like, how would he be able to come up with a metaphor about Nipsey Hussle, of all people, getting shot? Well, you could, I don't know, shoot my shot, Nipsey Hussle, you take Hustle because his store was a clothing store. You could make some kind of fashion bar. I didn't really put it together because I just, my brain just doesn't work like that when it comes to tragedy. At least not, something as tragic and fucked up as Nipsey Hussle's shooting. But, just like right there, the pieces are there. I could see somebody doing a line about that. Would it go over the same? Like, Takeoff just passed away. Rest in peace, Takeoff. If somebody decided to do a bar about Takeoff being shot during a dice game, his name is Takeoff. I feel like there's a Takeoff with the money type of bar you could do with the dice game thing. It'd be way too fucking soon now, but 5 years down the line, or hell, 2 years down the line, because the Megan Thee Stallion shooting has just happened 2 years ago. If somebody did that, would it be okay? Because I think there's a certain point where we gotta look at hip hop and some of the things that happened in the past and some of the things that are happening in the present and go, why is that okay? Like, yeah, if you don't care and you just want to hear people say whatever the fuck they want to say, stop defending it. You know exactly what it is. Why are you throwing your hands up like, oh my God, I don't understand why everybody's so upset and trying to toss blame over here? Well, if I can't say this, then they can't say that, or they shouldn't have said this back in the day. Blah, blah, blah. I wish you niggas would shut up. If you was really that rebellious, if you was really that hard, if you was really just that person that's like, yo, I'm just gonna say it. I don't care how nobody feel. Then say it and stop defending why you said it. Just say it. Just say it. Just put it out there and deal with whatever backlash. Cause you went into it. You wrote it down on a piece of paper. You recorded it in the booth. You mixed and mastered it. You played it over and over again in the car, because we all do. Before it was actually pushed out to the public. You've had plenty of time to think about how that line, or how whatever line you was gonna write, or the song you was gonna write, you had plenty of time to think about how that was going to piss people off. Don't act like you did not see that shit coming. And if you really didn't, then you can apologize. If you really didn't mean to offend anybody, then apologize. But if you wrote that bar knowing that it was gonna get a rise out of people, shut up. Stop trying to defend yourself. Coming from a guy that raps about all kinds of crazy stuff on this album, it has a lot of bars. I'm standing 10 toes down on what I said. So that's why, you could compare it to the old school, but in reality, the old rappers wouldn't be sitting here having to, explain in great detail what they meant and why it wasn't offensive, or apologizing for the shit. They just stood on it. The only time they really apologize is when they in a threat to lose money behind it. Hey, I got some sponsored deal. I don't wanna lose out on that Snickers paycheck. So I'm gonna apologize. I'm gonna go talk to some sensitivity people, some sensitivity training. Might speak to the community that I offended, just so I can get my check back. So if you really think they care, they don't really care. But I'm saying stand on it. So the idea that Drake saying that line was no big deal and everybody's being so sensitive, maybe that was the point. Maybe the point was to get a rise out of people. Maybe the point is, I don't know, maybe I want to say something a little harder because I'm standing next to 21 Savage. Or maybe it's because my music has garnered nothing but negative press. Maybe I should get some negative press or get them off my back by drawing their attention there, instead of how mediocre my output has been for like 7 years now. Maybe it's that. But to sit around and act like it's no big deal, especially if the tables were turned. And then, because of my last example, right? You could say, oh, well, they died and she didn't. Guns get pulled out all the time without the intention to kill, but end up killing people. Takeoff, in his situation, from all reports, say that he wasn't even the intended target. So the idea that because she didn't get killed, that it's okay to dog her about it is not cool. So you can keep that shit also. But I really do, and I know it's the cliche answer, it's the feminist answer, but it's the reality. Y'all don't really care about what happens to black women. Because I'm gonna leave you with another example, because this is kind of parallel with, the news that Brittany Griner, who is locked up in Russia right now over like a little bit of weed, but a lot of people have been calling for her to get released because she's obviously a prisoner, a political prisoner, right? She was in a country, got caught up, but because it just so happened to happen during a time where they were going to war with a country that is an ally to the United States, and she's a United States citizen, it doesn't take a rocket science to put together, oh, they're punishing her a little harder because she's from a rival country. And, think about it, like with the history of the country she was in, it doesn't help that she's also black. She's also a black woman, and she's a lesbian. And, certain countries are not that progressive as America pretends to be. So, her being punished a little harder, that could also be a part of what's going on. But the things that surprise me that people have been saying, because originally the common consensus was that, you know, hey, this is jacked up. Biden, everybody need to bring her home. They need to bring her home. They need to have a sit down with Putin, have a sit down with the government, make a swap, do whatever it takes. But we need to bring her home, right? They about to throw the max at her over a little bit of weed that she got caught with. Now, maybe she shouldn't have been smoking weed out there. Okay, fine. I don't think it is justified, the punishment that she's received and, you know, the harsh nature of how she's being treated in this country. Like, both could be true. But I've seen a lot of people, like, take the fact that she did something that was illegal in another country. A lot of dudes who are using that as justification for why we shouldn't care that she's going through what she's going through right now. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand how, like, a generation of, but these are black men, a generation of black men who typically don't care about the law, is fuck the police, defund the police, you know, these kind of, you know, talking points. It's been embedded in our DNA since we were born, right? Through music, through our own experiences with the police, things like that. It's always been fuck the law, fuck the police, unless it's a black woman getting caught with a little bit of weed in another country. Yeah, she knew better. She need to go to jail. That's the kind of backwards BS. Because if you say she deserves what she's getting right now, then why are you yelling free YSL? Why is it that Kodak Black can plead guilty to sexual assault and you still get online and scream free Kodak, but you don't care about this black woman in Russia being hemmed up because she just so happened to have a little bit of weed in Russia during a war, right before a war breaks out, or during like the breakout of this invasion of Ukraine? Why is it that when it comes to other famous black men who have told you how they feel about you, have told you that you could kiss their ass, like a certain you know who that I don't want to discuss, we already know who it is, but the minute he gets hemmed up for things that he said unprovoked, decided to just go DEFCON 5 on an entire community, and regardless of how you may feel about some of the comments and how the outrage has been from the community that he offended, at the end of the day, he did it to himself. He did it to himself the same way that you, or like if you say that Brittany Griner did it to herself, Kanye did it to himself times 10. Kyrie did it to himself times 10. If you have that same mindset about Brittany Griner, and between her situation and between what's going on with Megan Thee Stallion, how there's no sympathy for somebody who was shot because you like the artist that did it, so you can't give him up, but you want everybody to stand up and protect the black man who basically told you that everything that's wrong with you is your fault because slavery was a choice and they chose to be slaves, and that's why you're in the position you're in. But at the same time, he needs y'all support because they decided they don't want to do business with him because he decided to go DEFCON 5 one sleepy morning on Twitter at random. Well, you know, so I don't get it. That's why when a situation like what happens with Kyrie and the other guy happens, you see it from other communities, you realize they don't play that. And Justin Hunt said that we had an opportunity. He said it in a video a couple weeks ago. We had an opportunity with the Drake shit to come together like that other community comes together and really say, nah, we not with that. Because it's not just being disrespected by the outside. You gotta check those that disrespect you within your own home. You gotta check them, but instead it's a dope bar And I don't care because she lying anyway. And I think that's exactly why when you get online, you talk about protecting black women, protecting even black men, and you're a black man. It always rings hollow to me because when somebody is still alive and needs protection within their own community, within their own community, it turns into white noise. It turns into a division because you like some music. So why don't you just wait till the facts come out? Wait until we got the full story in context. Maybe wait until the verdict comes out and make your opinions, harass whoever needs to be harassed at that point when it's all said and done. But until then, leave Megan alone. And that's my time. It's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous. This has been 1430. Make sure you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. I got more video content coming soon now that YouTube has gotten all of this other stuff out the way. And until next time, much love.